Castle Rock Season 2 is here, and we got the first 3 episodes, which I was not expecting. So when I was prompted to watch the second episode after the first one ended, I was like, oh, I guess I will not be reviewing the first episode tonight. But here we are. I've watched all 3 episodes. Let's discuss them. So as far as just my overall thoughts of the first 3 episodes, fantastic. Just fantastic. And the writing is strong. The acting is strong. I mean, shit. Lizzie Kaplan as Annie Wilkes. Phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Now, at first I thought that maybe I was not going to be super big on it because it felt like a Kathy Bates impersonation, albeit her being obviously a lot more attractive than Kathy Bates or the Annie Wilkes character in general, since King wrote Annie Wilkes to not be a very pleasant woman physically. This woman is very pleasant physically, so it's a definite change there, but you know, it's something I can look past because what really matters when it comes to Annie Wilkes' character, when it comes to her ugliness, should I say, is the ugliness of her mind. And that shit is just as corrupt and evil as it was in the King book or the King movie. If you don't read the books, that's fine. Some of us don't. But yeah, Annie Wilkes is just as mentally deranged in this as she ever was. So that's what really matters. Lizzie Kaplan is a beautiful woman, and I know that's a change, but this isn't a direct adaptation either. So they're just kind of cherry picking what they want from King books. And what this show wears its King inspirations a little more out in the open than the last season did. I felt like the King homages and the King callbacks and all that stuff, I thought that was a little more subtle in the first season, and I feel like this one's just a little more heavy-handed, which is a good thing. I mean, that's why we're watching this show as King fans. It's like, I want to see more of Stephen King inspiration in here, and we get a lot of it. And the main 3 books that they're drawing from so far is obviously Misery being the big one, Salem's Lot, which is my favorite Stephen King novel, and so of course draw from that all day, and then a lot of calls to Needful Things as well. So cool to see that. All right, so let's just jump into this with episode 1. We've got Elsie Fisher here from 8th Grade, a movie I saw last year or maybe this year. Good actress. She's everybody's acting in this is fantastic. The way the stories are set up, the intrigue that's created, I'm completely on board with everything so far. So very, very pleased on where we're going here. Obviously, we got some connections to Stephen King. I shouldn't say connections. I should say a strong connection to a very popular Stephen King adaptation in The Shawshank Redemption, with Tim Robbins coming to portray the character of Pop Merrill, father of Ace Merrill, which you would know from Stand By Me, portrayed by Kiefer Sutherland in that movie. He's also a major character in the Needful Things book, where he plays an antagonist. So yeah, as I said, there's a good amount. You got the Emporium Glorium there. That's in Needful Things. You got the Mellow Tiger Bar. That's in Needful Things, which is actually where our characters from the first season meet up. Jane's character in that, they meet up there. So this is in the town that they're in. You can spot locations when they're driving through town, where you're like, oh, I recognize that from the first season. So no mention of the first season at all. I don't know if it will connect. I don't know if we'll see Jane Levy's character in this, who is a Torrance. I know that she was supposed to go and do something. There was a lot of rumors that her character was going somewhere because there was that post-credits sequence with her, and I don't know if that's going to come back into play. I don't know if they're holding that for later or if but for now, we have no acknowledgement of that at all. So we'll see. I really, honestly have no idea. And let's see what else. All right. So we open up with Annie, and she's out at the water, and she has a box, which of course I immediately guessed had a baby in it because of what we know of Annie Wilkes' character from the book or the movie Misery. And on the box it says the ravening angel. I don't know what that reference is. If someone knows that from some King book that I'm unaware of, I don't know what that is, but inside we can only assume that is Joy. And I doubt Joy is her daughter. I would assume that she took her from a maternity ward. That's where she worked in the book, so that would make sense. She's the baby killer. So was she going out there to drown that kid? Did she? Is that not actually Joy? I don't know. And so they're on the run. They're on the lam, which they're driving state to state. She's changing out license plates, and then when she looks, of course, I'm going to be talking spoilers for all 3 episodes. So if I'm jumping over around, I don't mean to. I just can't remember what happened in which episode. But of course, we find out that she looks her own name up, which Joy doesn't even know her real name. So when she goes to look for her, she can't find any record of her. And the reason she can't find any record of her because that ain't her freaking name, which is just crazy to me that your daughter doesn't even know what your actual name is. That's when you know that you are seriously pulling a fast one. But yeah, she's wanted for murder. So she has killed people by this point into the story. She's on a concoction of medications to keep herself from hallucinating. I don't know if she self-diagnosed herself as bipolar with hallucinogenic. I don't know what the hell. I don't know how to exactly say that, but she suffers from hallucinations, and she's on this concoction that she's stealing from all these hospitals because, of course, she can't actually get a prescription to anything since that isn't really her name, and she couldn't go and get them. So she's going from hospital to hospital, working temp jobs, stealing drugs from them, and then going back out on the lam. We see Shawshank Prison in this has been closed down, which is the fate of it in the first season. So assuming that this still takes place in that timeline, this is after the events. And our daughter here, Joy, she craves friends. She meets this girl across the way who obviously she's probably going to have some romantic fling with of some sort. Castle Rock is celebrating its 400th anniversary, as we see, and there's a lot of ironic moments if you're taking the books into consideration, as far as like turning things on their head. We have Annie Wilkes crashing old Bessie here, as opposed to Paul Sheldon being the one that wrecks his car, and she's also tied to a bed, Gerald's Game style, much like her trapping of Paul Sheldon in his bed in her house. So I like the spins on that kind of stuff. We get a little more focus on Jerusalem's lot, aka Salem's lot, and the close proximity of the two towns there. So I like that, of course, with the Salem's Lot love that I have. We've got the actor who I don't really actually know his name, but I always remember him as I'm the Captain Now from Captain Phillips. He's in here. He's an adopted son of Pop Merrill. They run some kind of shakedown gangster type operation, and Ace and Abdi are fighting for territory and Pop's love, I suppose, which Ace has always been jealous of Abdi and Nadia's attention that they get from Pop, which I can only assume that it's funny because I was excited to talk about each individual episode so that I could like guess things, and they kind of already have proving themselves to be true. But yeah, I think it's very obvious that Pop killed their parents and felt bad, so he took them under his wing and brought them into his family to make up for his actions over when he was, a soldier in their country. And we get a lot of use of the word dirty bird in here, which I feel like it's almost used a little too much, but I don't remember how much Annie uses it in the novel. I know she uses it a few times in the movie, but it's used a lot in here. And they're trying to get to the, what is it called? The laughing place, I want to say, which she has deemed as Montreal. I don't know why that's the place they need to get to, but it's outside the country. I'm pretty sure Canada has, I want to say extradition laws apply to Canada. Like they can bring you, if you're found in Canada, that you would get arrested. But Annie ain't gonna move to Mexico, and she can't get on a plane. So I guess that's her only other option. So I guess that makes sort of sense. And let's see. I wrote a bunch of shit down here, and I'm just kind of spitballing it as we go. And yeah. Ace realizes and figures out that Annie is on the lam, which he's corrupt as all fuck himself, so it's not like something he's going to call out. And I've already said like fucking most of this shit. Bloody-faced, stalking her. Yeah, she's seeing this guy with a bloody face, and the blood's actually running backwards up his face. This is a man that she killed, and is this her father? Is this the father of Joy here that she's seeing in her head? We shall see. And another little connection here is Scott Glenn plays Alan Pangborn in the last season, and he's who arrested Ace Merrill. And when Ace Merrill comes back to town in Needful Things, he has a total vendetta against Alan Pangborn. But Alan is dead at this point, and we don't know if Ace went to jail by this point. At least I missed it if they said it. Why would Ace drive his own truck to his stepbrother's property to throw a Molotov cocktail through the window when he's home? And he would have had to have known he was home because he literally just pulled up and walked through the door not a minute ago. And then to speed off in your own very obvious tow truck. It's a small town. You have a very obvious looking car. Did he want his brother to know it was him? Like, was he sending a message? I feel like if that was the case, he would just stand out there and be like, fuck you. But if he was trying to be sneaky about it, he failed miserably. The doc catches Annie trying to steal drugs and actually ends up giving her the drugs, which surprised her and me. And Chance gives Joy a phone so that they can communicate behind their back. This feels a lot like The Act on Hulu, another Hulu show about what the hell is their names? Dee Dee Blanchard. Those characters, if you ever watch that story, it's really fucked up. It's kind of giving me some vibes there. And then, oh man, out of nowhere, just who else was shocked to hell about this? That Annie just takes an ice cream scoop and just shoves it right down Ace Merrill's throat. I couldn't, and then the brutality of that was actually shocking in the moment. Not that it's overly gory, but it is very aggressive, and it has this huge impact when it hits, and the way that he's like choking on it and dying is brutal. I was surprised by that. And then she takes him and tries to bury him, and then she like breaks into the Bat Cave. I thought Batman was going to fly up out of there. And that moves us into episode 2, where we find that down there are caskets, and Ace is has landed inside one of the caskets where there is a skeleton and this oozy slime kind of shit that starts crawling up Ace's body, which of course then resurrects him. It resurrects the dude that was killed in the house, assumingly by Ace himself, and the cop played by Greg Grunberg, who's always in every Abrams thing. So he's like building an army here. And of course the real estate agent as well, who he needed to know if she was able to still have children. I'm guessing he wants to procreate after he assembles this vampiric army. I mean, are these going to be vampires? Is that what's going on in there? Because when Annie finds her way through this stairwell up to a house, I knew it too. I was just like, this is what I was saying. Like, I would love to have been able to guess these things and then to be right in a week when the episode airs. But as soon as she saw the stairwell going up, I mean, I instantly was like, oh my God, that is 100% up to the Marston house. I was like, this is exciting. This is so exciting. Oh my God. You know, so when she ascended the stairs, she got up there and the homeless people were in there fucking and she ran out. I just thought, we got the look at the house and I'm like, that's the Marston house. That's the Marston house. And then it pans back and it says Marston and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, let me guess at least. Let me sound at least like I know what I'm talking about so that in a week people will be like, Jason was right. Now I just get to be here and go, yeah, it is the Marston house. You know, but whatever. So she just threw a board over the hole in the ground and then just covered up with some dirt and they just threw cement on top of that and it held. Bullshit. That's pretty silly. Who worked on the foundation there? Who came in there and approved the foundation they were building upon, this mall or whatever they're building out there? They didn't realize there was like a cavern below them. That seems a little unbelievable, but whatever. She lost her necklace down there, which one of the construction workers finds and gives to Abdi. And that's what sends one of his dudes up there to the Marston place, which ends up getting himself killed, which they don't seem to notice that guy's missing for some weird reason. He hasn't returned, to my knowledge, yet to them, but he can. But he's been gone for a while and did not come back, so I just find it odd. But when he does return, he'll be very odd, much like Ace, who now all of a sudden seems to not be himself at all. So is that actually Ace in there, or is he being controlled? Is he possessed? What's going on with him? I don't know. And we find out that Pop took on Abdi and Nadia when they were like 17. I mean, they were pretty old. So, as I said, I think this just further reinforces that, I mean, who's going to take kids at that age that aren't from their country in that, like, and then they show him in the army. He killed their parents. I mean, there's just, or it's something along those lines. He owes them something in his mind, and he's trying to make amends for it. That's not really that astute of an observation. It's just very blatantly obvious. There might be a little more to it than that, but we'll see. And the bums, when they find the bums in the house, they look burned, but there's like no fire damage to be seen anywhere. I found that to be very odd. So what's going on with their burnt corpses like that? You would assume like, oh, well, maybe they were vampires and they were out in the sun and they got torched like that. But if that's true, Ace is out in the sun, so the sun need not apply here. I don't know, but they do look burned, right? The dude who comes over to the house takes an axe to the head, and they're like dragging him down the stairs, and this whole part of his face is off. Pretty decent gore there for this show. And then Annie tells Pops that Abdi did it. So Pops goes and grabs Abdi and interrogates him, and then has a mini stroke with the dog in hand, and he's just sitting there like on the ground as the dog's going to try to rip him. Imagine how terrifying that would be. This dog who wants to absolutely rip you limb for limb is hanging on by just the freaking limp wrist of a potentially dead person. or at least, an unconscious person. He must have been absolutely terrified in that freaking moment, man. But he does the breaking of the chair gag and runs in and traps the dog in the elevator and makes the decision to save Pops, even though he was going to hurt him. He does definitely owe him a lot there. And you can't really blame Pops in the moment since he thinks he killed his son by an eyewitness testimony from a fucking liar in Annie Wilkes. But her in-universe acting is incredible. I mean, yes, the actual actress is fantastic, but think of Annie in that situation. She's straight up lying to this guy and lying while acting that good about lying. So in-universe acting of Annie is incredible, off the charts as well, if you were to factor that in, which I definitely did. So she is deceptive as all hell and very, very good at it. And yeah, so when she was investigating or looking around in the cavern there of the graveyard, she saw this like scarab looking beetle or bug or something that was carved into the rock up there. These bugs start to appear on her car when Ace appears behind her, back from the grave, quite literally, which of course makes her think that she's hallucinating, that her drugs aren't working. So this moves us into episode 3. Yeah, I mean, that's what's so tough about this, is that she's actually hallucinating, seeing this dude with the bloody face. She thinks she's hallucinating, seeing Ace Merrill after having known she killed him. So she's trying to adjust her pills, move them around, which is making her even crazier. So, and the people who know her, the doctor and her daughter, know that she is prone to hallucinations. So, of course, they're both not going to believe her, but they know something's going on with Ace, and why is he missing? So there's just so much confusion going on, which makes for great drama. It makes for great tension in the episode. It's like, she is hallucinating, but she's not hallucinating about this particular thing. So it's really, really well done in that way. Yeah, I mean, the house is being renovated here. When she comes back to look in the house, because she's like, what the hell? I need to make sure this guy is actually dead. What the hell? I need to confirm this. She goes there. The bums now are killed. She's got freaking there's a lock on the door that goes down into the place where where the stairwell is that takes her down to the grave, and she of course freaks out, runs out after she sees that one dude who got the axe to the face is now back, and he's spouting nonsense. I don't even know what the hell he was saying. I couldn't make it out. But was the house purchased? I mean, I can't imagine Ace that quickly was starting to renovate the house. I mean, it's possible. This guy clearly works on houses and would know how to do that. The property wasn't purchased. Because at first I'm thinking, okay, so did Kurt Barlow come in and purchase the property? And is he the one that's restoring this thing? That wouldn't make sense, because we got the real estate agent there, and she's not aware of any renovations that are supposed to be taking place, and she's showing the property to Ace, so she thinks it's still up for sale. So the person that's renovating this place, I would assume, has to be Ace. He's just, I don't know, maybe more time has passed than the show is let on. Maybe it's been a couple days, and he went over there and he immediately started clearing the place out. But the reason he brings her is because he needs someone to procreate with. That's why he even has her come over. Or did she have a showing and he was just there to take care of it? I don't know if he prompted her visit or if that visit was imminent and he took care of it. Not sure, but regardless, I think he would have turned her anyway, but her being viable for pregnancy made her almost like an added bonus. So I guess, yeah, as I said, he's going to try to form a little army there. And yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised that Annie came straight out to her daughter and was like, I killed somebody, and they came back. But this is just delusion taking over, right? This is where Joy is like, okay, you're not yourself. So she knocks her out and she ties her up to a bed, which, as I said, ironically kind of mirrors not only Paul Sheldon's, what happens to Paul Sheldon, but also what's going on in Gerald's game, especially since she takes a piece of glass from a cup and cuts her bounds. She does not cut into her hand like in Gerald's game, but she does cut into her bounds, which frees her from her did I just hit my camera? Shit. Being locked in in that room, tied to the bed. And I think we already talked about all this. The book that she's reading her, she talks about Ian in there, but I was looking at the cover really intently because I was like, is that a Paul Sheldon novel? That'd be so great if she was reading her a Paul Sheldon novel. But from what I could tell, the author was not Paul Sheldon, and it wasn't a misery title. So I thought that would have been really cool, but it does not seem that that's going to be the case. I mean, shit. Joy, yeah, Annie, no. I was going to make some ridiculous claim, but I'm just going to keep that to myself. And then, yeah, I mean, is Annie lying to Joy about her father there? Is she saying she didn't want him? I doubt that. I think this is just master manipulator taking over again with her amazing acting and her waterworks. And I mean, she's already fucking hysterical by that point. But yeah, I mean, what happened to the father? I'm assuming Joy's father, I mean, I guess it's possible she did have the kid with her. And because she thought of herself as a dirty birdie who had a kid out of wedlock or had a kid at all, let a man touch her, that she was just going to get rid of the kid because she couldn't deal with what she had done. But I'm assuming she stole that kid, that's not her kid. But if it isn't, maybe that's the dad who she killed to protect her, and now she's on the run for killing the dad. I mean, in this version, the only person she may have killed is the dad. But why did she have the baby in a box like that? It seems like she snuck it out of a freaking hospital in that box. But then she's covered in blood, and we're thinking that's the blood of the dad that she killed because that's the only vision she sees. That's the only person she sees. So she's haunted by this specific person. For some reason, this is the only person. And I have to assume that's because that might be the only person she's ever killed. So anyways, let me know what you guys think, where this is heading. I look forward to seeing what's going on with Ace and what exactly brought him back from the dead, what his plans are. Is this vampire related or something else? As far as like the ooze covering their bodies and going up and resurrecting them, I don't know. I don't know what that is. So let me know what you guys think. I'm really looking forward to the next episode, and I'll see you then. Adios.